The Golden Oriole by Suwimalee Karunaratne. When Miss Vitharana walked into the classroom that morning, like the other mornings during that month, it was apparent to all that something strange and wonderful had happened in her life. It was in the way she carried herself, as if she had been elevated suddenly to a unique position of dignity. She seemed afire too, like a small sun bestowing a scintillating radiance around and about her. I want you to know, she told the girls in a low, authoritative voice, so different from the shrill tone she normally used, that love is a very special, magical sort of thing. I wish each and every one of you may experience it one day. Having made this enigmatic statement, she beamed on them like one who had been favored by a particularly bountiful goddess and was magnanimously invoking the same good fortune on them. She was more than content to see the young upturned faces register surprise, and when a few giggled and exchanged covert remarks behind handkerchiefs, she beamed still more. Miss Vitharana obviously was above such petty inconsequentials that day. She turned and busied herself with writing complex and compound sentences on the blackboard for analysis. That the girls showed surprise at Miss Vitharana's remark was not a wonder, for it was not the type of remark one would expect her to make. Everyone knew Miss Vitharana to be studious and timorous, motivated to a great extent by religious impulses. It was well known that she spent her free time poring over Buddhist scriptures, participating in temple rituals, and going on pilgrimages with her mother. She had even taken part in one or two Buddhist symposiums on radio, and these had been major occasions in her life. The class began to copy the sentences in their exercise books and to silently work them out. Having finished writing, Miss Vitharana went up to the window and for a short space of time lost herself freely and sensuously in the verdant greenery of flapping banana leaves, coconut palms, and hibiscus hedge. A bird swooped down from a shady tamarind tree, spreading out brilliant yellow wings. It flew low over the grass and then up and away into the sky. Miss Vitharana watched fascinated. It was not every day one saw a golden oriole, which the Sinhalese called a yellow-robed thief. With such splendidly hued wings, it must certainly be a bird of good omen, she thought, for yellow was an auspicious color. It was the color of gold, of ripe grain, of sunshine. It was also the color of the robes worn by Buddhist monks. But that was rather odd, she pondered. Why had such a stoically celibate clergy chosen yellow for their robes? Yellow had so many connotations of fertility, of ripeness, of material fulfillment. Perhaps that was why the hermit monks, who shunned society and meditated in the solitude of forests, preferred robes of browner russet hue. Miss Vitharana, a gently voice nudged the rushing stream of her thoughts, but she did not hear it. Miss Vitharana, the voice called loud, cutting through her conscience, startling her. Yes, what is it, Ranjini? She recognized the young typist from the school office standing by her. There's a telephone call for you. Thank you. Miss Vitharana glided blithely out of the room, not unlike the golden oriole that had taken wings into the sky a little while ago. She felt her spirits so acceleratingly. No doubt that would be Aunt Beatrice calling her again. She must really put a stop to these constant summons on the phone. Not that Miss Vitharana was irritated by them, but Aunt Beatrice must not be made to feel that she was at her beck and call any time of the day, especially during her lessons. True, Aunt Beatrice had made a match for her, but she must not, on the strength of that, take advantage of her. Yes, she must put a stop to these phone calls once and for all. About a month ago, Aunt Beatrice had actually brought Miss Vitharana a proposal of marriage. It had caused a pleasant excitement in her, but her mother had viewed it with singular disinterest and even suspicion. Of course, Aunt Beatrice herself was quite above any kind of suspicion. The worst anyone could say of her was that she was a confirmed busybody. That was one thing Aunt Beatrice believed in staunchly, being a busybody in the interest of other people's welfare, especially in making matches for her innumerable nieces and nephews. The field offered her ample scope for her energetic talents. Her mother's suspicions were based on her experience of masculine temperament. Does he know Rupert's age? Her mother had inquired of Aunt Beatrice bluntly. Miss Vitharana had flinched. Delicacy was not one of her mother's strong points. Aunt Beatrice looked a little baffled. What for telling Rupert's age? I tell you, child, all that is not so important. He is not looking for somebody very pretty or young or anything like that. It seems his wife died about a year ago. She must have been about Rupert's age. What he wants now is a nice good girl who will look after him and do everything nicely in the home. Does he know that there is no dowry? Don't worry about all that, child. After all, Rupert has got a BA degree now. That is got enough for him. He is a very simple, good man. And children? He has got several already, so he won't be wanting any more. Her mother frowned. Rupa has been quite content to live as she has been living, she said shortly. She's always busy with her schoolwork and her religious activities. But surely, are you trying to tell me that all these things are better than getting married? The point is, Rupa is quite happy as she is. Everything depends on one's attitude, and Rupa seems to find happy fulfillment in the things she does. Miss Vitharana had been surprised at her mother's words and her absolute disinterest in the proposal. She darted a quick look of angry resentment at her. Why did her mother take it upon herself to decide matters, especially matters that affected her life so profoundly? Surely, she was assuming the role of fate in her life. You don't mind, no? If I ask Rupa herself? Aunt Beatrice asked almost as if she were able to read Miss Vitharana's thoughts. For a moment, she experienced a mixed sensation of confusion and embarrassment. How could she openly exhibit a liking for the proposal? It would not become her mature ears. So she cleared her throat nervously and said primly, I am quite happy as I am, as mother just told you. The question of marriage has never bothered me all these years. Then you don't want me to pursue this matter further? There was a pause, during which time Miss Vitharana's heart sank a little. There is no point in pursuing things that are not destined to take place, her mother said after a short pause. One should accept one's karma fate as it comes. Miss Vitarna was again irritated by her mother's decisive tone of voice. How was she so sure that she was not destined to marry? True, she was not a young girl anymore, but then neither was the man who was being proposed to, a budding youth himself. Perhaps Aunt Beatrice had felt instinctively how she felt. That was probably why she had telephoned her at school on the following day. Miss Vitarna did not have a telephone in her dingy little row house in the outskirts of the city, and her gratitude knew no bounds when Aunt Beatrice telephoned. Rupa, now, without getting angry, tell me, child, do you like these things or no? Aunt Beatrice asked. He always, he says, he would like very much to meet you. Shall I bring him to your place? These words had caused an excited flurry in the region of her heart, but she had only said, I really don't know what mother will say. Never mind what she will say, Aunt Beatrice said impatiently. The trouble with your mother is that she is too proud. So, that evening itself, Aunt Beatrice had brought him to their home. Miss Vitarna had expected to see an older-looking man, but all the same, he looked kind. Throughout the visit, he kept casting glances in her direction, which made her ears burn. After some time, she felt herself welcome in these glances, which had the effect of diffusing her whole being with a warm, tingling sensation, which she had thought not possible for her to feel any more. Once, when he looked at her, she boldly lifted up her eyelids and even fluttered their lashes a little. But this she regretted immediately, sensing the mild astonishment it caused. His eyes rested on her face inquiringly, and it became difficult for her to hide her distress. Her mother was far from pleased by the visit, but Miss Vitarna was too full of pulsating hopes and dizzy exhilaration to feel her displeasure. The next day, Aunt Beatrice, how truly kind and considerate she was, phoned and gave the good news. He was keen, it seemed, and had expressed a wish to visit her again. Naturally, she agreed happily, and so it was that he began to visit her every evening like a prayer. Each day, Miss Vitarna became gayer and bolder. Her hair, which had been accustomed to tie in a severe knot at the back of her head, gave way to a loose, informal plait and sometimes even remained unbound, bracing luxuriant tresses to his admiring gaze. Her body felt charged with a new motivation. She could almost feel the surge of sap. See how one's karma works, her mother remarked one day. Just think how long you had to wait to meet the correct man. It was her mother's first words of encouragement, her unofficial blessings. Miss Vitarna, who was combing out her hair in front of the mirror, thought to herself that she might well have missed her chance on account of her mother. But at that moment, her eyes took in her reflection, and it fairly knocked the breath and also the resentment out of her. She could but marvel at her own transformation, her eyes looking luminously bright, and her skin, which had been rather dry and showing signs of coarse maturity, now giving an appearance of delicate softness. It was as if the burgeoning happiness within her, like a water lily opening out in the morning sunshine, was reflecting itself in her face. What a brittle thing our personality is, she contemplated in a brief moment of self-knowledge. dependent on so many external and internal factors. We change from moment to moment. They say matter remains static only for 17 thought moments. But strangely enough, this fleeting insight didn't bring with it any equanimity. Rather, she felt holier for having thought it. Soon she was sailing forth to school like a boat, with sails unfurled and billowing ecstatically. At school, they had begun to notice the curious change in her too. In the staff room, they were quick to catch the meanings hinted at by her oblique remarks. One has to experience love to know what it is, she announced, stretching herself out lazily on a chair with a half smile on her lips. Aha! They laughed. So, our friend here has found herself someone at last. Who's the lucky man? Another cried. What lucky man? She wanted to know, pretending to frown. Congratulations, you dark horse. When is the wedding? I really don't know what you all are talking about, she said, showing a becoming embarrassment and escaping from the barrage of questions she herself had brought down about her ears. But amidst all this teasing hilarity, she was aware of a few resentful glances. Well, they would be even more resentful when they see the ring. The day before, he had asked her what kind of ring she would like to wear. If they only knew from what a well-to-do family he was and what a responsible government post he held, how jealous they would be. It was difficult for her to hold in all this elation. All she could do was to make oblique remarks and look as enigmatic as she could. So now, as she hurried out of class and walked across the bit of garden space towards the office block, she was conscious of all eyes following her. She wondered what Aunt Beatrice had to say. Most probably, it was something not very important. She had been threatening to invite them all to her house for a party in their honor. Maybe she wanted to fix on the date. Well, anyway, she must put a stop to these interruptions once and for all. Miss Rutharen ran up the few steps to the office, scattered her radiant smiles among the office girls, and took up the receiver with the plumb. Hello. Yes. Rupa, Aunt Beatrice speaking here. Yes, Aunt Beatrice. Do say what you have to say quickly. I was right in the middle of a class. The principal doesn't like our works interrupted every now and again. You know. A short pause followed this somewhat crisply delivered speech. The silence almost crackled. I'm very sorry, child. I really don't know how to tell you what I have to tell you. Miss Vitarana experienced a sharp sensation of alarm. Aunt Beatrice's tone conveyed saw something drastically wrong. He he says it seems he can't make up his mind just yet. You see? Hello, Rupa? Are you there? Miss Vitarana drew in her breath heavily and managed to make a stifled noise in her throat. The whole world seemed to have stopped dead. A roar of rushing blood seemed to crash and pound about her ears. You know, the thing is, he can't get over his wife's death, it seems. Poor man, I feel sorry for him also. Some people are very temperamental, you know. The silence yawned between them across the wire. She felt it attempting to probe her mind. I'm very sorry about it, Aunt Beatrice ventured. But Rupa, you mustn't go and let this upset you now. It's all right, Miss Vitarna said mechanically, resisting the urge to slam down the receiver. What's to be done, child? These things happen. As your mother said, what a wise person she is. One cannot force karma to make things happen that are not destined to happen. You must take these ups and downs as they come. I am truly sorry it turned out this way. Wish you all the luck in the world. Miss Vitarana forced out a polite thank you and dropped the receiver. She began to walk back slowly, her legs dragging. She strove to control her facial muscles and resolved to remain poised and calm, however difficult the feat. Two veins swelled on either side of her neck with the effort. She re entered the classroom and resumed her stance in front of the window. The trees and bushes were a green blur among which her eyes darted hither and thither like angry gnats. She could not feel herself a part of it. The world around her would draw no sympathetic response from her. The stark blue sky was empty now, into which the golden Oriole had disappeared. But a movement near her obtruded on her line of vision. Two brown miners with yellow beaks and yellow legs were busily pecking at the ground. Miss Vitarna watched them going through the motions of their companionable endeavor to ferret out food. Suddenly, tears sprang into her eyes. The pulsing, quivering, pregnant life outside, impinging on her senses, was too much for her, and she began to cry.
Please note, all the novel classes, King Lear and Rasanayagam's last rite, will begin just after the COVID-19 pandemic subsides.